Good morning, hello, and welcome, my friends. This is Cliff Graves from Train World Boxing. I hope all well. I hope you got your cuppa to hand. Sit back, relax, listen up to these lectures. What you won't get here is your dopamine 2 minute uh, video that is basically nothing. We like to give you the real meat and potatoes stuff. So today we are discussing the pros and cons of Kalah Combat within the UK. We cannot vouch for Kalah Combat in other countries due to criminal law legislation which dictates things we can do here and things we can't do here. We can't, for instance, carry knives. In some parts of the US and South Africa, for example, you can. A word now about slander and libelous. That is only prevalent if I was sitting in front of you telling you lies upon lies upon lies. The ulterior motive of destroying somebody or some group or some organization, which I am not. I am here not as a keyboard warrior. I am here to give you my personal opinion on what, having tried Kalah Combat for several months, having numerous sessions, giving my personal opinion on it. When we look at Trustpilot, we see reviews, 5-star reviews, don't we? Oh, this kettle is better than that kettle. Don't buy this kettle because you want to buy that kettle. 1 star, 5-star. Or services, great service, fantastic service, 5-star. Terrible, rubbish service. Don't go to that hotel, 1 star. It's not uncommon because we have the clause caveat emptor. Let the purchaser, let the buyer, let the customer, let the member of the public be aware. And that is all I am doing. I am giving a very objective view of Kalah Combat UK. That's all I am doing. And within freedom of speech here within the UK, I am entitled to. I am not trying to provoke a riot or anything of the like. I am merely giving my objective viewpoint on Kalah Combat UK. So let's deal with the pros first. I think it is right up there when it comes to the initial stages of some sharp-edged knife, sharp-edged weapon attacks. I think they address the fact that the most important criteria is to get hold of the free floating arm that's got the sharp edge weapon in. Because one mistake and it could be fatal. Paul Vunak, V-U-N-A-K, demonstrates a slash. There's a great big side of pork, I think it is, or lamb or beef. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's a big side of beef hanging. He draws out a knife. He slashes it across this side of meat, and it opens it right out, folks, with a little knife, sharpened knife. It opens it right out, and he says, that could be your arm. If that's your arm, in all probability, they might not be able to save it. So yeah, knife attacks are very dangerous, very lethal. One mistake, and this has penetrated straight through your rib cage into your heart. Now look, I'm not doing this on the heart, I'm doing it, but now down to the rib cage. I'm a big, that's a bit odd, I'm a big grown boy now, but that type of force would go straight through. With a point like that, that would go straight away through your rib cage. It's only a little thin covering of skin, straight away through. And I mean, how far do you want to go in before it penetrates? That's about an inch, isn't it? How far do you want to go in? That far? That far? Before it penetrates an organ, the lungs, the heart. You get it in the heart, bang, you're gone. Get it in the lungs, bang, you're gone. The liver, the spleen, the other side. If you get it in the sort of belly button area, you got a chance. But what about across the neck? So they deal with that admirably. Teeth back in. Admirably. They deal with it very well. Told you these videos were just, if you want to call them unprofessional and unrehearsed and unedited, yeah. But they're bitty, they're gritty, but they're honest. So yeah, Kalah do. I like the fact that if you're going to be attacked and somebody has presented the knife to you, now I'll come to that in a minute, but they presented the knife to you, right? You've got a bit of a chance, haven't you? A bit of a chance, because I like the way they put their hands up like this and they go into submissive, no, okay. And then it's bang and bang and like a second wraparound. And if you get that second wraparound, like this, the crop, it's difficult to show you without an actual live partner attacker, but I think it is very, very good. I think it is first class excellent. And I commend you, the guy that came up with all these concepts, Idan Abelnek, a Jewish guy originally from Israel, now residing in South Africa. I commend you. Fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. So we're dealing with the pros first. So that's a definitive pro, getting hold of that free floating arm and controlling it without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. Otherwise you're dead. The second pro that they do is they really push you on the warm-up physically, 100 press-ups, and you better do them in a specific way in the lengthened right down. You're doing partial repetitions, 100 reps, 100 abdominal crunches. You got to do them, and I think that is very, very good because they address that. It strengthens up. Press-ups are fantastic for burning out your triceps. I go to the gym and I do my weight training stuff, and I think that a weighted dip. Here we go. I know who this is. That's the missus saying, "I've arrived safely at work." Anyway, so yeah, I like the warm-ups that they do. I think they're very good. I was saying a weighted dip is probably something that is superior for the front deltoid and the rear. When you can do 100, I would suggest try doing 200, 300, till you get to 1,000. If you're training on your own, because of course 1,000 would take you considerably longer. But yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good. I like the way Kalah Combat, when they've got this wrap around and they've got hold of their free floating arm. The fight starts from there. The headbutting, the biting, the kneeing into the groin. Fantastic. Fantastic. I like the fact that they simulate aggression out on the street as much as they possibly can do. I like that. I think that's good. But I think that's where it stops with the pros, with Kalah Combat UK. I think that's where it stops. Now let's discuss the cons of Kalah Combat UK. So the first one that we said was this, wasn't it? That wraparound, getting hold of the free floating arm. So I go onto the internet and I'm doing searching and I put in knife defense classes within the UK, and it brings up a myriad, an absolute myriad of differing knife defense classes, one of which I'm not going to name the name because they might not want that, and I respect that, but I watched a lot of their seminars online. I've watched a lot of their classes online. I've cross-referenced it with other classes. Very similar growing setup to Kalah Combat. Kalah Combat has, like I said, branches in the US, branches in India, branches in Singapore, branches in South Africa, branches in Ireland, branches in Europe, several branches here in the UK. And although it hasn't arrived here at the UK yet, I see it as a very, very, very interesting format of knife defense. Now, this gentleman, who's the founder, is explaining about the various different formats of knife defense. And the fact that you've got this lock on, whether it's into the inside or onto the outside of the arm. Onto the outside of the arm, it's easier just to switch hands from somebody's right-handed or left-handed, doesn't matter. To switch hands, grab it to the right hand and then attack you. That can happen if you're on the inside. Now, the argument that the Kalah mob will say, no, that can't happen because you're using your body as a barrier and they can't possibly get there. They can. They can, I'm afraid. They can. And to think they won't is grossly underestimating the attacker's IQ, streetwise IQ. How do you know they haven't done this before? How do you know that they haven't analysed all the risks against them and what they would do? How do you know they haven't trained to train it in the left hand or the opposite hand, the right hand, if they're left-handed or right-handed? So they can switch it over and they can plunge it into you. How do you know that they haven't been down the weight training gym and got onto these cable column things and done unilateral rather than bilateral exercises? How do you know they haven't trained up for that risk of getting grabbed, the free floating arm getting grabbed and then switching it over? Because this guy made it look simplistic. How do you know that? How do you know that? Do you know that? You're based out in South Africa, where you're allowed to take a knife. How do you know that person has not trained knife religiously? There's a lot of styles going about. One of the most impressive knife fighting styles I've seen is that, have you heard of the Italian knife fighting system? Now, without mentioning names, I did go to have a few classes with a guy that was based in the Southwest. His mother was Italian, so he had Italian roots in him. He was showing me about switching this from side to side, the knife from side to side to side to side, like this. You put it in that side or that side. Lethal, and lethal, as lethal or probably more than the Filipino shite. How do you know that the attacker has not studied that? How do you know that? How do you know that? How can you put the hand on the Holy Bible and say, I know that person is not trained in knife. So I know that person is not going to switch it. Which I saw the visual demonstration that this guy gave. I'm itching to give you his name. If you email me, DM me, I'll give you his name and details. I'm not going to do it publicly. And neither am I going to mention any names from Kalah Combat publicly, because there is an element of respect there. Yes. Not fright, not intimidation, respect. Respect. But yeah, it is possible to do this. I saw it with my very eyes. DM me and I will show you just how easy it is to change that knife and plunge it straight into the back or the side of you and kill you. The other con with Kalah Combat is we talked about the warm-up, didn't we? Well, I'm 60 and I struggled. And quite frankly, I don't like somebody shouting the odds at me when we're over a park, open air park. Dog walkers, members of the public are looking over. I'll come to that in a minute. I don't like that. I've been a personal trainer before, and you say to a certain category, if I was Conor Ben or Chris Eubanks Jr., I was like, come on, get down, 80, get down and give me those last 20. Because they can take it, but not a 60-year-old man. Not a 60-year-old man. What, do you want somebody to keel over and die on the terracotta right before your very eyes because you pushed them too fucking hard? Kalah Combat UK? So know when to apply the pressure and know when to ease off, I think, with these warm-ups. What, do you want to super fatigue your student before and they can do just nothing? And if it's a personal training session, I'm not talking about a purported group training session where you was hoping for half a dozen hombres to turn up and only I turn up. They try and get you for the full cost, the full whack of a personal training situation. I'll come to that in a minute. No. You've got to sit down. You've got to sit down. Now on to what we discussed about they make it so stressful that your cortisol levels are released in abundance to try and emulate a real life situation. Yeah, I think that's a plus point. I think that's a good point. However, you have to balance that with a much more softer, pure technique lesson. A lot of these classes, certainly here, Kalah Combat UK classes, will only train one day in a week for 1 hour. Oh, come off it. Stop deceiving members of the public, will you? Stop it. It's childish, it's puerile, it's highly unprofessional, and you are doing your students a definitive disservice if you're doing that. How can you say with 1 week, 1 hour a lesson, once a week, 1 hour out of 168 hours in a week, 1 hour, and I can tell you with 6 easy lessons, you're going to become competent at defending yourself against a knife. What do you think? Be honest. Look, we've got all this brotherhood nonsense, almost cultish. Oh, don't say anything. Oh, yeah. Nobody's got a fucking mind of their own, right? Nobody can make decisions of their own because they're too, follow. They're not leaders. They're lambs. They're followers. They're not the big raging lion coming in and say, I'm the king. I'm the person that's in charge of my own destiny. You don't tell me what to do. I show respect. But if I don't want to do 100 press-ups, I don't do 100 press-ups. And you can fuck off and sling your hook. I don't do 100 press-ups if I don't want to. Neither do you beast me at the end of a session. When I'm down in a stress position, press-up position, neither do you when we're out exposed on a day like this, out on a park, people walking around. Neither do you kick me straight in the stomach on more than one occasion. Neither do you pull up my training top and pour cold water all over the small of my back, my lower back. Neither do you get my hoodie, put it right over, get the cord and then start strangling me with it. In full view of members of the public. We had that issue where a guy came over and said, what's going on here? What is going on here? So the instructor says, oh, it's all right. It's a plastic knife. Don't worry. It's all, it's all warm-blooded. It's a lesson. He said, yeah, but I mean, look, kids walk across this park. Do you think that's responsible? To see 2 grown men grappling around with what looks like a real knife? Do you think that is responsible? Well, I mean, it's au fait and okayed with Kalah, Wales. We work closely with the police force there. I'm listening into this. I'm just a student. I'm listening into all this. Yeah, but come on. Me as a student, I've been wound up so much during the lesson that my aggression is right up here. Do you think it's right? Then we had 2 old ladies walking by with their dogs. And what on earth is going on? She said, I was literally going to phone the police, dial 999. And I could hear her talking. She said, "You kicked him in the stomach. I saw you doing all this, trying to garrote him." She said, "What on earth is going on?" She said, "I literally, something stopped me from phoning 999. Something stopped me, prevent me from phoning 999. Do you need that? The next thing would be the police would arrive, come over, interview us. Right, we've had various complaints. This is what the police officers would say. We'd have various complaints of two men fighting, which has caused great alarm and distress to members of the public, shocking them. One of which said his children frequent this park quite regularly. Well, what would have been our or this instructor's response? Well, look, we try and do it when members of the public aren't there. What, 10 o'clock in the morning? The likelihood of children being over that particular park would be zero when they're in school time. But what happens if they're going out on a little trip and a walk? What happens when it's in the school holidays? We did have a kid come over on a bike. And as he see me doing these press ups, he said, "Go on, get down further." And I laughed at him. I said, "Do you want to have a go?" He said, "Nah." I said, "See you later. See you later, mate. Take it easy." What would have been the answer? "We are now arresting you and you as his co-defendant." I said, "But I'm just a student. I'm just doing as I'm told." For antisocial behaviour, breach of the peace, causing alarm and distress. And we would have been nicked, taken down to this station, processed by the custody sergeant. Two arresting officers were given a reason why we had been arrested. Right, okay, put him down in number 7, put him down in number 3. You go down to the cells, and then they just look at everything. They might contact the CPS. "Oh, you've got a definitive case there." That is definitive without a question, under section blah 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 blah. Right? So the next thing we did, open the door. How do I know this? Because I've had it. So I know it. I know the process. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, you want to come with us, Clifford, or Mr. Graves, what they want to call us? Might even call me Cliff. The other one, the instructor, might well have been interviewed, might not have. And they said, "Right, you realise why you're here, don't you?" I'd say, "Well, not really. I would refrain from comment until I have a legal advisor." No, that's your prerogative, Cliff. That's completely up to you. But they could bring a whole heap of trouble your way. So we stopped that. We stopped that once a week job. Then we found a boxing gym, a local boxing gym, which the guys obviously, fill your boots. I mean, I don't know, give me X amount of money for it. I'll tell you the code. And when do you think you want it? Oh, Wednesday between 10 and 11. Yeah, that's no problem. That's no problem. Because no other buggers using the gym because it's a pro-am gym. I'm guessing if they had a professional fighter in there, may well be in there at the time, which is that you can't use it. But if there's amateurs in there, they normally train in the evening, so we could get that, right? And there was a disparity of what he was charging me for a lesson and what he was paying for the venue. I felt sorry for him. I said, look, you know, where we live, we rent at the moment. We do own a property, our own property, but we decided to let somebody else pay our mortgage. And we'll let the prices sort themselves out. The property market was being really fickle. So I thought we'd take time out, rent a bit, you know what I mean? But we do own a property somewhere else. But I had a word, we're in this rural area. It is cracking. I hear owls and I see kestrels and all sorts here. It's fantastic. Anyway, I had a word with the farm. He said, yeah, he said, as long as it's not going to upset anybody and you're not going to kill yourselves, yeah, you can train here. I said to this guy, this instructor, I said, look, you can come here. It was only about 6 miles drive out of Exeter. You can come here and train on my property, on where we're renting. There's a little patch that could actually service 10 people, 5 pairs, included in making the 11th person. Big enough, like a courtyard. The only drawback is it's not grass, it's concrete. But I said, if you tell everyone to wear elbow things and knee things, you should be fine. Should be fine. You know, for nothing. For nothing. For nothing. Other than a trip into where we live. 6 miles. 15 minutes it takes me to get into Exeter City. 15 minutes. So, you know, you could have, if most of the other, say he had built up a class. Say he built up a class of 10 people. He could have said, look, you come with me. Can you take you and you? And you could have gone in just 2 cars. Plenty of parking facilities, no other bugger around, nobody to disturb us, quiet as anything. Not good in the rain, no. Poo-pooed it, completely ignored it. When I challenged him about saying, look, I need to train some more. Can you invest more time? He said, well, I'm a university graduate. I was just starting a new relationship. I've got my studies to think about. I've got this to think about. I've got that to think about. Do you know what I would have said? I would have said, look, well, let's just cut out all the warm-up stuff. Can you give me half an hour? An extra half an hour? I'll pay you the full whack of what it is costing you for 1 hour. I'll even bung in a bit of petrol money for you. No. He wanted to pay over the odds in this boxing gym. It's what is called putting stoppers up. Putting stoppers up. He didn't want to know. I would ask you this question. If you're touting 4 classes, okay, if you're saying we're trying to build a group up come and train with me. Okay. Yeah. That sounds like a plan. Let's hope. Let's hope, let's hope we can get some more players. And you don't get more players. Should I have to pay the full whack of a private lesson? Do you think? It is not my fault there are not other hombres to train with, is it? That's down to his fault, the instructor or instructoress. That's down to them. That's not down to me. I've tried my best to say, look, you can come here with, I think we could have about 10 people, including you instructing, 11 people, because I'd be a little bit ahead of people that are completely fresh into this type of training. I could almost be your assistant and help you out, and you just pocket the money. No, not interested. Not interested. Do you think I should pay the full whack of a private lesson then? In actual fact, I think it's difficult when there's just two of you, because the instructor or instructoress is attempting to teach you how to do techniques, when in reality, if you had a second person involved, you could look from the periphery and say, right, now, let's say his name is Graham. Oh, God, Cliff. Like, Graham, wrap your arm around, that's it. That's it, like that. That's it. You've got it. Yeah. Like that. Could instruct. Even on these lessons I was having, there was somebody that turned up. A friend of the instructors. Oh, he's there recording all of this. Didn't ask me, do you mind if we record this? Just we're recording this. There's no respect there from the instructor to the student, you see. I'm just a bit of trash, you see. It would have been polite just to say, do you mind? No, that's been recorded. They could have placed the phone in a place where it could have got a lot of angles from the techniques, and the other guy could have come in, say, just holding this thing like a great big spare plum. But no. Why was I asking for more tuition? Because if I'd had my way, I would have trained 3 times a week, I tell you. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something like that. Even twice a week would have been better. A Monday and a Thursday or something like that, for instance. You make one training session stressful and hard, like we just talked about at great length. And you make another technique-wise softer. What is it, the Australian, I believe, allegedly, they have said the Australian Special Forces say, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And I've heard that saying before, do it slow. Do it slow. Get the feeling of it. Get the angles of it. Get the angles of it. Now, another con against Kalah Combat. We've been going 45 minutes. If you're still with me, thank you. And the final one, right, it is, I forgot my train of thoughts now. Having a senior moment, see. But what was it about? Yeah, it was about, yeah, that was it. These purported, the fight starts from here, the headbutts, the bites, the knees to the groin. You've got to get them in. You've got to get them in. And I can tell you, I have been headbutted, and I have been attempted to be headbutted. And I can tell you what, if you've got a height disparity, think of the 5'2" female against the 6'6" attacker. Think of Levi Belfield against the poor lass that was murdered on Twickenham Green. The height disparity. You will not get this part of the head into the vulnerable areas, across the nose, across the cheekbone, if there is a height disparity. It will not happen. Try it for yourself if you think I'm talking a load of baloney. Get a 5'2" female, which Kalah reports to include. It's not just about the big rough tough hombres in the bar becoming the most proficient bar brawler. It's about the woman trying to get home safely without being raped. There is a high potential of the attacker being much taller than the female. Try it. Get a 5'2", 5'3", 5'4" female, then get a very tall attacker and see where the head goes. See where the head lands. The head will land on the chest. Of no effect whatsoever. And incidentally, the way that they teach the head is incorrect. It's not that. That is not the head. You have to use the whole body and keep the back of the neck taut. Whole of the body. The whole of the body. It's like you step in with a jab. You step in with the head. Bang. Hence, for it to be effective, you've got to be of similar height. Bang! Straight across the nose. Kalah Combat doesn't teach it like that. Ineffectual heads like that. So I think it probably rendered useless. Next, they talk about biting. Now, biting I have used in street fights is a fight stopper, which that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to stop the threat. That's what you're trying to do. Certainly here in the UK, you are trying to stop the threat. And it's actually equal force, not reasonable, equal force. But who knows criminal law? I don't. So what is reasonable force? What is perceived by reasonable force by the police? What is perceived by reasonable force by the CPS? But more importantly, if it went to the Crown, what would a jury perceive as reasonable force? That's the likes of Joes like you and me and all sorts formulating a jury. Do you know what reasonable force is? But what we can say is enough force that is proportionate to stop the threat. And I have done that, and it's very effective. Biting on the fingers, very effective. Biting on the arm, very effective. Not so effective at trying to bite on the shoulder, because they pull it away, yank it off. What do you suppose if you've got your teeth, my hand is your teeth, and they yank it away like that? What do you suppose is going to happen to your pearlies? They're going to you're going to lose them, aren't you? So biting is, but you've got to teach it. You've got to teach it across the neck, ball if you can get across the neck. But that is quite hard, I think, to get your teeth over. The ear, that's a good place. The nose, that's a good place. But I think biting is limited. The next thing is the knee into the groin. Well, the groin area, when we look, I'm 6'1". If I had a groin area there, I'd be, oh, hey, wouldn't I? The groin area is pretty small in comparison to the whole of your body. Is it as big as the head? No. Is it as big as the midriff? No. Of course it's not, is it? Fellas. So you may get it into the groin, you may not. But when you're dealing with a sharp-edged weapon, you better get rid of that sharp-edged weapon quick. Because if you don't, you're dead. Another con with Kalah Combat is I don't see them. I haven't seen them yet to see. And I know another chap on Facebook asked this question and agreed with me. We haven't seen them dealing with the slash, the machete. Did any of you see recently on the news here in the UK, two guys fighting at Queensbury station, railway station? One had a knife, the other, guess what, had a machete. It seems to be the favoured tool for gangs. Now, I'm not saying you move in a gang, I'm not saying I move in a gang, but I haven't seen anything in Kalah which shows us how to defend against a machete. If you're watching this, can you do so? Can you show us? Show members of the public, please? When you get hold of that arm, the next thing has to be, in my opinion, disarmament of the knife. Yes, if you can get that headbutt in. Yes, if you can get that knee, groin attack in. Groin, knee to the groin. Yes, if you can, yes. Because that will slow the attacker right down. But I think of equal importance, you've got to get them to drop the knife. Now, yes, they will be pulling back. Yes, they will be pulling back. Hence, you've got to have that double lock on, really. Because if they're a lot stronger than you and you've got it just like that, double lock like that, they will pull it away from you if they're a lot stronger than you. If you've got it like that, locked on, lesser chance. But you have got that on. But where does the fight start? If you cannot headbutt, if you cannot bite, if you cannot knee to the groin, where? What do you do now? What do you do now? Because to rule it out and say, well, that won't happen, that won't happen, that won't happen, that won't happen, is stupidity, Kalah. Difficult, huh? Difficult one. Difficult one. I like their humility, Kalah, when they talk about we don't have all the answers, and we don't profess to have all the answers. But is that a cop-out in disguise, Kalah? You have taken on the role as an instructor. It is your responsibility, not the student's responsibility, to teach them the right, proper stuff. It's the student's responsibility to go in peace, to avoid, to use situational awareness, to be able to run away, etc., etc., etc. Yes, of course. But you ain't gonna get that in 1 hour of tuition a week. Forget it. And if you're a colour instructor watching this, take heed. Take heed. Do you think 60 minutes, 90 minutes is enough? Seriously. Seriously. It's your consciences here that we're talking about. Not mine. Yours. So, yeah. Taking down an assailant. Taking down an assailant without disarming the knife is foolhardy. How do you know, in teaching that Kalah Combat, how do you know that there's not another attacker? You're grappling with one attacker on the ground, which invariably you hope they'll be on their back, you'll be on top of them, trying to get rid of that knife, trying to execute the proper technique so you can get round and, in the greater scheme of things, snap the arm and all that. But don't forget, we're talking about timing here. We're talking about the half beat. And if you're a drummer or a musician, you know exactly what the half beat is. If we go 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second, 5 second, it's that half beat. It's between the 1 second and the 2 second that you can get stabbed. And if you've exposed your back, the whole of your back, and it's a multiple attacker, what do you think his mate's going? Get him off me! Stab him in the back! Bang! You were plunged straight through the back. Killed instantaneously because that sharp edge weapon, remember we said, how far does it need to go in? That far? That far? All the way in? How far? It's only a little bit of skin in the back, covering the rib cage on this side. So if you get stabbed here, which you can't see where my thumb is, it goes straight way through the rib cage. And where does it hit? It hits your heart. So that's a serious flaw with Kalah Combat. They don't address it. You know, the biggest thing is they try to bury their heads in the sand. They try to bury their heads in the sand and think that it'll all blow over and it will all go away. No. Address these flaws. You say you haven't got all the answers and you take a humility pill. Well, take a humility pill from an old fool like me then. Look at the flaws, address them, and come back. And let's review Kalah Combat in 6 months' time and see what you're doing. Under that premise, and we're coming up to 60 minutes, which I think is good for a lecture. I can only give you 3 stars. A very average format of self-defense. So thank you for listening. Cliff Graves from Trainwheel Boxing. Have a great day.